Have you ever just felt completely overwhelmed by the daily grind? Like you're constantly running, stressed by modern pressures, and wondering what the actual point of it all really is? Well, today we are exploring some incredibly profound ancient Eastern teachings surrounding the meaning of receiving the Dao. This isn't just about philosophical comfort, either. We're unpacking a highly structured, rigorous framework for finding ultimate clarity, taming that restless mind of yours, and really anchoring yourself in what is an incredibly unpredictable world. Let's dive in.
So the source text actually grounds this whole philosophy with a pretty amazing little story about three old men having a drink, talking about the fragility of life. The first guy says, "Man, I wonder if we'll all still be here next year." The second guy shakes his head and goes, "That is thinking way too far ahead. I just worry if I'll even wake up tomorrow after I take off my shoes tonight." But then the third guy delivers this stark, ultimate truth. He says, "I only worry whether the breath I just exhaled can be drawn back in." Wow. It is a powerful reminder that human life is literally hanging by a thread, existing entirely in the space of a single breath.
And that stark reality brings us right to the core problem of human existence: impermanence, or anicca. Basically, absolutely everything we chase in the material world, our wealth, our social status, our careers, even our own physical bodies, is completely temporary. It's all in a state of constant change. The text emphasizes that clinging to these things, expecting them to last forever, well, that's the root of our daily suffering. We suffer because we demand permanence from a world that is literally designed to change. To break out of this frustrating cycle, we really have to look beyond the material stuff.
So, here is our roadmap for this explainer. We just touched on the impermanence of life. Next up, we'll get into the actual meaning of receiving the Dao, followed by the 4 great benefits it brings, the practice of cultivation, and finally, the path forward.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the meaning of receiving the Dao and awakening your true mind.
The text paints a really sharp contrast here between two totally different ways of living. On one side, you have life without the Dao. This is a modern reality where we see youth getting lost in fleeting digital thrills or gaming, and adults just getting crushed by academic, financial, or societal pressures. That secular life relies entirely on external validation, which just leaves you completely exhausted when those external things inevitably shift. On the other flip side, life with the Dao offers a totally different trajectory. By awakening your inner wisdom, you aren't getting swept away by all that external chaos anymore. You actually discover your true origin and cultivate this unshakable inner peace that stays perfectly stable no matter what crazy stuff is happening around you.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 great benefits. Because if receiving the Dao shifts your life so fundamentally, what are the actual, tangible results?
The texts explicitly outline 4 profound transformations that happen when you receive the Dao: opening Buddha wisdom, changing destiny, escaping birth and death, and extinguishing suffering. Let's break these down one by one.
First up is opening Buddha wisdom. Now get this. The text explains that every single person inherently possesses this brilliant divine wisdom. It's not something you have to go out and buy or acquire. It is already sitting right there inside you. But it's buried. It's buried under layers of ego, worldly desires, and attachments. Receiving the Dao essentially clears all that dust away. To prove this, the source points to the 6th patriarch of Chan Buddhism, Huineng. This guy was completely uneducated, impoverished, couldn't read a single word, but once his mind was awakened, he instantly understood the deepest spiritual truths out there. It just goes to show, this isn't about academic IQ, it is purely about spiritual clarity.
Benefit number 2 is changing destiny. The source shares this super famous historical story about Master Liao Fan. So a fortune teller predicted his entire life with scary precision, even telling him he was going to die at age 53 with no heir. For a while, Liao Fan just gave up, thinking, well, my fate is sealed. But then a Zen master taught him that human destiny can actually be rewritten through intense, deliberate moral cultivation. Instead of just accepting his supposed fate, Liao Fan spent his life doing exhaustive good deeds and fixing his character flaws. And guess what? He completely changed his destiny. He had a son, lived way past his so-called expiration date, and wrote his famous treatise at age 69. The huge takeaway here: receiving the Dao gives you the agency to literally rewrite your own script.
Then we have the third benefit, which is deeply rooted in Eastern cosmology: escaping birth and death. The texts claim that receiving the Dao fundamentally alters your spiritual path by symbolically striking your name from the underworld's registry and recording it up in heaven. This breaks that endless, exhausting cycle of reincarnation, known as samsara, where souls are just endlessly reborn into lives of suffering. And the source notes this incredibly fascinating phenomenon. It claims that true practitioners, who really dedicate their lives to the Tao, often leave behind physical bodies that remain miraculously soft, flexible, and peaceful for days after they pass away. It's seen as the ultimate proof of their liberation from the karmic cycle.
And the final benefit hits right at home with our modern lives: extinguishing suffering. This isn't just about finding peace in the afterlife, it's about how you are experiencing your life right this very second. By understanding your true nature, you uproot the actual source of your daily anxieties. I mean, think about it for a second. Are you constantly stressed about your career, the unknown future, or just a general fear of mortality? The Tao teaches that once you fully grasp the impermanence of all these worldly pressures, they totally lose their psychological grip on you. That frantic, panicky feeling of the modern world gets slowly replaced with a profound, enduring calm.
Which brings us to Section 3, the practice of cultivation. Because receiving the Tao is definitely not some passive, magical quick fix.
The text uses this absolutely perfect classical metaphor. Having a field without plowing yields no harvest. It stresses that receiving the Tao is really just being handed the seed and a nice plot of land. If you don't roll up your sleeves, put in the grueling daily effort, and actually plow that field, nothing of value is ever going to grow. Spiritual cultivation is an active, demanding, everyday process. You can't just sit around on the couch waiting for enlightenment to strike.
So how exactly do we plow this spiritual field? Well, the source gives us 3 highly structured, practical steps. Step 1, study the Dharma. You've got to intellectually understand the universal truths by actually studying the teachings. Step 2, cultivate. This is the hard internal work. It means observing your own mind, fixing that short temper, breaking your bad habits, and smoothing out those character flaws. Step 3, practice. True cultivation is never selfish. It demands that you actively step out into the real world to help, guide, and save other people. It's all about practicing outward compassion.
And a massive specific component of this active compassion, according to the source texts, is vegetarianism. They don't just view this as a trendy diet or a health kick. It is an active, daily practice of profound empathy. The logic here is pretty uncompromising. If you are trying to cultivate a heart of boundless mercy, like a Buddha, you really can't be taking the lives of other sentient beings just to feed your own physical body. The text frames this as a totally crucial step to stop creating new karmic debt and to make sure your physical actions are actually aligning with your spiritual goals.
All right, finally we arrive at Section 4, the path forward. How on earth do we integrate all of this into our chaotic modern lives?
Every day, we are faced with a pretty tough, continuous question. Are you progressing or are you regressing? The text puts a huge emphasis on daily self-examination. You literally have to audit your own life, constantly asking yourself, did my actions, my words, and my thoughts today actually create merit and help people? Or did I just generate new sins, feed my own ego, and cause harm? Spiritual cultivation isn't some grand one-time graduation ceremony. It is measured day by day, choice by choice, in the quietest moments of your routine.
And this brings us to what is probably the most empowering insight from the entire text. True cultivation is found right here, in the simplicity of daily life, not in escaping to the mountains. You do not need to abandon your family, quit your job, or become some isolated hermit to achieve enlightenment. In fact, the text specifically argues that fulfilling your everyday duties, being a patient parent, an honest worker, a good friend, and doing it with a pure, unselfish heart is the literal essence of practicing the Tao in the real world.
So I want to leave you with this. Are you ready to actually cultivate your daily life? Or are you just seeking miracles? Are you just hoping some external force will magically swoop in and fix your problems without you lifting a finger? The teachings of the Tao offer an incredible roadmap and ultimate clarity. But that daily plowing of the field, that responsibility rests entirely on your shoulders. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this profound material. Take this ancient wisdom, apply it to your everyday reality, and whatever you do, keep cultivating.